today, brother, is Brother Minister Keith X from Plainfield, New Jersey. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
Brother, I thank you, first of all, for traveling in from Plainfield, New Jersey, and I wanted the audience to know, as you were here for our celebration on the messenger's birthday, but we wanted to just get to know Brother Minister Keith X. And it's unique that you use the X. Most Muslims nowadays find a name now, and why the X?
Well, number one, brother, I'm in protest of the way that Minister Farrakhan and others have taken the names. My protest is because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us, a good name is better than gold. Yes, he had an actual teaching on the names and how important it was for us to respect the names and the attributes of Allah. He gave us X's because X means unknown quality.
That's right.
And you had to qualify for a name. Now, I know I'm as much Muhammad as any of those out here. Yes, but the way that it's thrown around now, everybody's got Muhammad, and many of them don't deserve it.
All right, so in the name of Allah, let's now deal with and address the critics, and let's offer rebuttals in light of their comments. Now, this is just the first step to reveal a mindset. And again, this has less to do with Minister Eric and more to do a mindset that Minister Eric has chosen to step out in front. So in some ways, we can give Minister Eric credit out of Atlanta for having the courage to emerge from out of the shadows of the secret councils and to put himself on the line to be exposed, because he is literally the spokesman of opposition to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Praise be to Allah, right? All right, so that being said, when we are dealing with this issue, some of you all think it's about a Facebook or a cyber beef. It's much more deeper than that, because Eric represents a thought that has been openly or unapologetically attacking the minister for the last 5 years. And he also represents a thought, whether we know it or not, that exists within our nation and within our heart, because many of us are following the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan under doubt and suspicion. And at a certain time, situations and events and conditions are going to emerge that brings out of us that which is hiding inside of us. The minister taught us, that the messenger had taught us, that there is a Leviathan or a monster that exists in the darkness. And the circumstances and situations are designed by Allah to bring these monsters from out of the darkness into the light. And so there's a process that creates this situation. And I believe that we are part of this process as we go into the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan returning to Jerusalem, which is Washington, D.C. Now, when he first goes into Jerusalem, he goes under the cries of, all praises due to Allah, long live Muhammad, go ahead, Farrakhan, hosannas. And the second time he returns into Jerusalem, he comes underneath the cry of crucify him, kill him, murder him. Now, what took place within those 20 years that causes a switch up in the minds of the people who at one time supported the minister and another time does not? Are we to say that the Jews who attacked the minister, the so-called Jews, the Zionist Ashkenazis, and there has to be a distinction that I'm going to clearly make, inshallah. These so-called Jews that we call Zionists are really not the Jews in the scriptures. What they are the government. The government is the Jews, and the Jews is the government. There is another real Jewish conspiracy that exists within the nation of Islam that is more relevant to this present day Jesus figure. And we're going to deal with that, inshallah. Now, the government, are we to say that our people, black folks in America in general, are listening to white Jews, the government of America, and because of that, they're going to switch their position on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? Are we listening to the Jews? Do we watch CNN? Do we watch CNN, Fox and MSNBC or whatever the case may be? Are we listening to the Jews? Are we on the white folks' websites trying to figure out what they're saying against the minister? No, we ain't doing that, right? So if the people are changing up, it's either one of two things. Number two, those who are with the minister are doing a piss poor job of defending and representing the minister and getting the people acquainted with the minister, which is an extreme violation. And or those individuals who have black skin under the auspices of blackness, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, red, black and green, Pan-Africanism, they have unleashed an attack against the minister and the Nation of Islam that the people who are poison animal eaters are subjected to via the form of YouTube clips, World Star Hip Hop, the lecture circuit. So we're not answering these attacks. Now, we already dealt with that on part 1 and part 2. So let's advance. Now, this Minister Keith, I really don't want to call him a minister. I'm going to call him Keith X, because he's an ex-minister. He's an ex-follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the ex-follower of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But he has a desire to share with Lance Shabazz his perspective. Now, the question becomes, what is your motive? Why are you sitting down with Lance Shabazz? What is the intent of your communication? What are you trying to share with the people? Now, you have a particular understanding of the minister as it relates to the scriptures and the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And you desire to share your understanding, your interpretation of the minister, your experience with the minister with other people, so to minimize or discredit the value of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So your intent and your purpose for being interviewed is not to share information, is not to share data. Your desire is that you slander the minister and get people to bow down and acquiesce to your understanding. Now, who are you? What are you? What is your motive? And what do you seek to gain? What do you have in place? If the individuals who you are addressing, those who are with the minister, are with the minister, and their lives are changing and they are living a positive lifestyle, not to say that we don't have room for improvement and we don't have room to grow and do a greater demonstration of what it is that we say we understand and we've come to learn. But what do you have in contrast, comparatively, to offer a people? So as you destroy the minister and you attempt to devalue the minister and discredit the minister, the question asked is, if you were successful in turning the people away from the minister, who would you suggest that you would turn the people's minds to? Now, you might say, I would turn them directly to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And that's good. However, it is your direct connection to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that is causing you to attack a man that by the grace and permission of Allah has been risen up and exalted in our presence for us to look at and to study. So you, Keith, believe that you have a better understanding of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that you have a better understanding of the scriptures and the Holy Quran, and that you have a better understanding of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan than we do. Therefore, brother, by default, you are attempting to attack the minister followers at the heel and supplant his leadership and replace it with yours. So when you made this video recording with another hypocrite by the name of Lance Shabazz, your desire was to shift the attention of the minister off of the minister and onto yourself because you believe that you have a superior argument. Now, in the process, you say you have a problem with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, given all or those who attended the Believers meeting in 1996 and in 1997. Now, understand something. In 1996, I received my name, Muhammad, because I was present at the Believers meeting that you speak of. In 1997, those who made it to the Believers meeting, they received their name also. So right now, in the clip that you shared or that we're sharing with you, you have a problem out of your own mouth in your estimation, the minister devalued the value of Muhammad because he gave it to, in your mind, arbitrarily, those who were at that believers meeting. Now, in 1996 and in 1997, what battle was the minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, engulfed in? What plans, what strategies, what wicked machinations were deployed against the minister from so-called Negro leadership and the Ashkenazi Jews, the so-called Jews in America, that the minister had to overcome in 1994, 1995, 1996, and 1997. They deliberately set out to murder and poison the minister during these 4 years.
Cross my heart that I love her. There's no one up above her. I want a girl that's true.
I said, but I don't believe in the gun. I said, I don't believe in that. I'm like David. Yes, sir. My brother Saul got sword. I'm ready to fight Goliath, but I don't need my brother's sword. I picked up 5 smooth stones in a brook. Go ahead. The giant looks at the little boy and says, who he think he is coming out after me? I'm just the servant of the Lord. That's right. And I'll never leave my people in a way to justify the slaughter of them. That's right. We don't need weapons to defeat this enemy. That's what he's waiting on. That's why he armed you in the ghetto with that little pop gun stuff you got, to give you a sense of power. You don't know what weapons are. That man got some weapons. That's right. I saw that. You running around with your little 45 and street sweeper and shotgun and feel good. When you see that tank rolling on your behind and them helicopter gunships come down the street, you'll think twice about attacking white folk with weapons. That's not going to defeat him. So I told Brother Gaddafi, I don't need that. I said, I will produce a revolution with the help of God and this book. You gonna produce, Farrakhan? See, it's a quiet revolution. See, Farrakhan will overthrow the government of your mind. See, that's what Jesus was all about. Jesus was all about changing the way you think. So when this government is overthrown and the kingdom, the king is settled in the dome, and the laws of God are settled in your head, and you meditate on them night and day. Then when the change comes in your head, then you change everything around you. Every year you give Israel $4 to $6 billion of the taxpayers' money, and you haven't asked the taxpayers one damn thing. Who are you an agent of? Bring me before Congress. Let's have the showdown at the OK Corral at high noon. Funds Brother Gaddafi gives. You say it's against the law. Prove it. But we damn sure gonna try your law. Because if you're gonna deny black people the help of their own brother, then we're gonna rise up against you. We don't have a damn thing to lose but our chains. Some of you silly Negroes, you offer condolences to the damn crackers that hung your people, and you make excuses for them. But if I do a statesman like that, to go and say to the president, we're sorry for the loss of your son, and offered prayers for his soul. Isn't that the proper thing? When a fly or something landed on my head and I was scratching to get the doggone fly off, they caught that picture, and that's the picture that they sent all over the world. Why you do that? Why you do that? Because you nothing but a damn enemy? Why did you do that? Why didn't you show that man holding his brother, embracing his brother like a lost brother coming home? Why didn't you show that? Because you hate the fact that there was unity between President Mandela and Louis Farrakhan. You cooked it and said he lectured Farrakhan on racism. How the hell is a black man that been in jail for 27 years unjustly going to lecture me, and I've been in hell for 400 years? I got a lecture for the whole world on what racism is. The execution of Ken Saro-Wiwa. That's right. You've heard about that, right? Now, I don't know whether it was justified or not, but when we went, they gave us the summary, we asked for it, of the minutes of the trial. Because here's Lou Myers, here's lawyers, we have the National Bar. We want to put the black lawyers on that trial. And if they say it was an unjust trial, then it is. But not you, cracker, not you. There ain't enough money in Nigeria or in America to buy me. I'm not a whore. Never have been. And can't nobody make a whore out of me. I'm not for sale. But articles about me condoning slavery by Arabs. You wicked deeds.
Every time I look around, somebody lying on me. Mr. Cheney, Mr. Ridge.
How could
I got 1 foot in the grave, 1 foot
a children of slaves condone slavery anywhere in the world? Say we're not Muslims. It's agreed that we have differences. But who the hell are you to tell us who we are? Angry? Because we exercise the freedom that they say we have, but if you try to exercise it, they punish you for it. Did you know that Iran and Iraq fought a war for 8 years and 1 million Muslims died?
I was born to clash with the fate.
What better place to teach atonement and reconciliation? And they brought me to the Iraqi border. The Iranians, guns on this side, guns on that side. The border situation was tight. But the little baby, it was like a new baby. You know how mamas are with their new babies? They wrap it in the swaddling clothes and they pass it. Let me see. And then this one holds it, then they pass it. Let me see. Well, that's exactly the way they did us. When we got to the border, they looked over at their Iraqi brothers and they said, Assalamu alaikum. And look, with tears in their eyes, the Iranians passed us over to the Iraqis. And the Iraqis hugged and kissed us, pulling teeth without anesthetics. People dying on the operating tables.
Take your time. Take your time, brother.
I wanted to see for myself.
They poisoned the environment and they worked against the minister deliberately, methodically, mechanically, and systematically to destroy him, not only in the physical person, but his reputation as well. As everyone began to attack the minister, those who were with the minister at that particular time covered down on one another, closed the ranks, and battled as a solid wall against those who sought to destroy the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and to prevent the Million Man March. That is not a lightweight thing, because we have to understand how the systems of government, their minions and their devils, went out to destroy the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, and how those around the minister closed ranks and covered down and battled at us as a solid wall to help defend the minister and to give him a hedge so that he could do his work as he traveled in and out of the American cities.
Hey, yo, check this out. This is Ice Cube from the West Side Connection, calling all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa. The world has never seen a million black men in one place. But on October 16th in Washington, D.C., a million black men will gather.
Yeah, word up, son. Check it out, though. You know what I'm saying? Word up, son. Listen up, son. You know what I'm saying? Got you. Drop before one time. Listen up, son. Check it out, though. Hey, yo, open your eyes, get wiser, look alive, focus your attention. Windows 95 updated, high-tech lynching. Cautious of the colored man who claim he owns the keys to the safe. Secrets of the world, blow him in his face. Who's the master of the universe? Galaxy and planets, Babylonians, the static moon, the sinking of Atlantis.
Be the one soul originals, black filled with melanin, going out like rebels in Kuwait in 2000.
Brothers gonna have to put themselves in check. 3 strikes, you in the penzo, shank to your neck. Your woman cries, your baby grows up alone. Talking through a 3-inch glass on a 2-way phone. You tell me brothers got no options today. You better listen to the ice closely, fool, crime don't pay. Gas and dope, bullets and coke ain't the way. You need to march with the nation on Atonement Day.
Man, to all my brothers, we be rhyming like this. Yeah, I can handle it. They can't kill a mill or dismantle it. If we can leave the component alone, show my brother the brother instead of me. Throwing them crackers in the back of the scene. Know what I mean? But I've been knocking them out the box like no commander. So on the single, we be flowing at the lingo, coming together, not soul like Mandingo.
So where you at, y'all? Right here, hanging with my brothers and we showing off there.
So where you at, y'all?
Yeah. Right here, if you represent, throw your hands in the air.
Check it. Arm, leg, arm, head. My people Jews with braids, waves, dreads, and bald heads. A million strong doing duty. Wisdom, strength, beauty. Guma Oz, they bar, some moon star. And it's a holy day. Come sober, smooth beat in DC. 16th of October. In unity there's power. None can devour. Hour after hour. Love shower.
Imagine us traveling back to Nazareth.
Fabulous.
Raise up the black dead slaves like Lazarus.
With our chests raised through the blaze, holy essays. No more death days of vexed slaves possessed and
Yo, it's
caged.
the last day, the time we got to raise your mind. Brothers walk around dumb, different and blind. Pregnant earths always carry eggs. Our pledge to never fall off the ledge. And flash we made family like sister sledge.
God prepared the table for us in the presence of our enemy. Now we soon to be one in unity. 1, 2, 3, I'm a G. But the God inside, it's that G I chose to be. The world is a stage and everybody plays a part. I'm not considered the one with a sensitive heart. When I say black man, you say go. Black man, go. Black man. Go.
So where you at, y'all?
Right here. Hanging with my brothers and we showing up there.
So where you at, y'all?
Right here. If you represent, throw your hands in the air.
Somebody stole me. You took me from Kunta to Toby and mold me in a way that you freed me but still hold me. What you trying to pull? Eating us like cannibals. Whatever happened to that 40 acres and that animal? Now you trying to use integration just to fool us. Like Malcolm said, we've been hoodwinked and bamboozled. Mama crying and I ain't lying. I'm going to Washington for justice. I'ma get it or die trying. Don't hesitate. He set the date. And there's a million black men in one place to set it straight. So black women applaud the black guard. I'm P.A. Smart with the Million Man Mars.
Damn, that's how you know the world about to end. Rain, hail, snow, earthquakes, and a million black men up under God indivisible. With liberty and justice for all, cause y'all done made us miserable with this American nightmare. That's why October 16th we gon' be right there like, yeah, the same brothers that you won't gone. Well, we about 1 million deep on your front lawn. It's going on from here to Abraham Lincoln statue. And every brother here thinking, yeah, we need to holler at you about this overdue business. With the black Muslim, Christian, Jew, and Jehovah Witness. To get this out in the open, the only way is for us to declare a black holy day. The homies say that they rollin', plus we got family 40 miles up patrolling.
So where you at, y'all?
Right here, hanging with my brothers and we shooting up there.
So where you at, y'all?
Right here, if you represent, throw your hands in the air.
So where you at, y'all?
Right here, hanging with my brothers and we shooting up there.
So where you at, y'all?
Right here, if you represent, throw your hands in the air.
So where you at, y'all?
Right here, hanging with my brothers and we shooting up there.
So where you at, y'all?
Right here, if you represent, throw your hands in the air.
So where you at, y'all?
Right here, hanging with my brothers and we shooting up there.
So where you at, y'all?
Right here, if you represent, throw your hands.
Delivering messages to and fro to the black men who were in the cities, who were falling victim of a wicked plan to destroy them utterly. And as the white man and the Jews continued to bash the minister and attack the minister, those who were with the minister covered down. We gave our money, we gave our time, we gave our energy, we dedicated all of our efforts, our prayers, our sacrifice, our life, and our death was all for Allah, the Lord of the world. And we aided the minister in not only him convening the greatest and largest group of black men in one place at one time in the history of the world, under a call of atonement on October 16th, 1995. But we also fought and battled against principalities and wickedness and operational tendencies of our open enemy and Satan. And many of us fought wars that we didn't even know we were fighting. Many of us covered down in situations that we did not even fully comprehend the seriousness of our situation. Many of us were there for the minister and was with the minister as he dodged and shook off the murderous plots and machinations of not only the government, the Jews, but these Negroes who desired to kill him for real.
I see our sisters. And I'm very happy to see our sisters. Because true Islam will never marginalize women. Remember.
فلنتذكر
that if the women do not know the Quran and the words of Allah and study the words of Allah, how then can they pass on to the children what they do not know? My teacher taught me, no nation can rise any higher than its woman, for the woman is the mother of civilization. Now, why is this so? When you teach a man, you teach an individual. When you teach a woman, you teach a nation. As you remember the story of Yusuf in the Quran, Yusuf was sold into slavery in Egypt by his own brothers. But Yusuf became a master in the land where he was sold as a slave. We were sold into America by some of our African brothers to be made slaves. But when we were brought to America, the Europeans wanted no Muslims in the Western Hemisphere. So they murdered our fathers and mothers that they could not teach us Arabic, that they could not pass on to us our own names, our own language, our own culture, our own religion, our own God, and our own history. And then they sold us as though we were cattle or sheep or horses or products from one plantation to another. They denied us the right to learn, to know. We fell down in America and became drunkards. We became thieves and prostitutes. We were ignorant people, divided against each other. We were in a state of Jahiliyyah, worse than the Arabs prior to the advent of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But Allah, the Beneficent, Allah, the Merciful, had mercy on us. A woman from this area of the world gave birth to a son in the holy city of Mecca. His name, Farad Muhammad. He came to America to bring Islam to the blacks. He stayed among us 3.5 years. And he searched among us for one person that he could put on his shoulders the mission of raising us up from mental death. And now I'm proud to tell you that Islam has dignified us. Islam united us. Islam made us throw down our whiskey and our wine bottles. Islam stopped us from using drugs. Islam gave us a strong family life. We believe it is our destiny to become masters in the land where we were sold as slaves.
In the Muslim world is not America, nor is it Israel, nor is it the West. The problem in the Muslim world is that our world has deviated from the path of Prophet Muhammad and from the teachings of the Holy Quran.
Farrakhan is in the world, and Farrakhan is not afraid. Farrakhan knows that there is no God but Allah. And Farrakhan declares to the world, I will not bow down to nothing or no one but God, and I will stand up for truth and for right and for justice, and I will speak the truth regardless to whom or what. If I live, I will live on the truth, and if I die, I will die on behalf of the truth, for there is nothing in the universe greater than the truth. So let all of our lives be a witness for truth.
So from 1994 to 95 to 96, not only those years, but the years where the brothers and sisters was with the minister in order to build the Nation of Islam, to re-establish the name of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the Nation of Islam into the consciousness of black people, to establish the Nation of Islam as a relevant fear or concern in the minds of Satan and the devils. Those individuals who stood with the minister, those individuals who defended the minister, those individuals who lost their family members, who chose the minister over their wayward wife, or chose the minister over their wayward husband, or chose the minister over their families, gave up their jobs, put themselves in the height of criticism when they were openly attacking the minister. Brothers was selling final calls. Brothers was being ridiculed and ostracized and fired by their bosses. Brothers was paying a price. Sisters was paying a price for their belief and their loyalty to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at a time when everyone was attacking him and trying to stop the reality of the Million Man March. Now you trying to tell me all of those brothers and all of those sisters who stood with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan at that time, and then the minister came in 1996 after his friendship tours, before the second friendship tour, after the first friendship tour, 1997, when everybody was beating on the minister, when the minister had to go out and meet with brothers and sisters throughout the world in defense of the Nation of Islam, to establish into the consciousness of the people the name, the identity, the mission, and the nation of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we who were with him gave charity, and we sacrificed, and we fought, and we banged, and we became victims of tyrannical opposition. Some of us was arrested. Some of us was ridiculed, maligned, made fun of while we sat out and we sold final calls in the sun with our suits on. We were called bean pie sellers and final call sellers. You mean to try to tell me, brother, that we who were with the minister, who supported the minister as he's rebuilding the nation, who supported the minister as he called for the Million Man March, who supported the minister as he went in and out of America, making knowledge be born to the black man in America, who allowed the minister to be free enough to speak straight words to Mike Wallace and the rest of them devils on television? You mean to tell me we did not deserve to be given the name of Muhammad, which means one worthy of praise, and it also means war? Now we went to war. You mean to tell me, Brother Keith, you're upset because the minister gave those who supported him, those who are with him, who remain steadfast? You mean to tell me, Minister Keith, you are upset because the minister gave us the name Muhammad? You are out of your goddamn mind. So what it shows in your heart, in your mind, is that you, number one, fail to understand the time and the situation and the condition and the backstory, the environment that called the minister to give the brothers and sisters who was with him, who sacrificed. How beautiful an expression when the minister can call a Million Man March and Allah blesses him that 2 million show up, And then when he comes to meet with his brothers and sisters on Savior's Day 1996 at a believers meeting, he calls everyone out who was rolling with him and made an important stance while they were continuously attacking the minister. We still found it in our hearts and our minds to spend our way to get to Savior's Day, to support him, to give our Savior's Day's gift, to do what we need to do to support him. And we showed up in ranks to where not only the facility where he gave his keynote address, but there was a second facility that was filled to capacity. The first facility where he spoke directly was filled to capacity. The second facility that he spoke to, where he spoke via video screen, was filled to capacity. And people couldn't get into there, so there was a third location at Mas Mariam that was filled to capacity, in spite of the devils and the Europeans and the government and Negroes attacking the minister. Not simply for the Million Man March, but attacking the minister for his friendship tour, and his relationship with Gaddafi, and his relationship of the president with the president of Sudan. I want to say Sudan. No, of Ghana. And so these individuals continued to stay with the minister. And as we stayed with the minister, you mean to tell me, in spite of all of that, that we don't deserve to be named Muhammad as an appreciation for our demonstration? As a group, as an organization, we stuck with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan when many were turning against him? You have a problem. But in your problem, you reveal your mind. So let's go to the next part and see what you got to say.
And then on top of that, you watch and see how in the press, they're constantly, when young brothers get into problems, get into criminal activity, they using these Muslim names.
That's true.
Okay, well, we just locked up, Ishmael Muhammad. We just locked up, and the attributes themselves.
They just put to death for John Muhammad.
They just killed John Muhammad, and he got that Muhammad because Minister Farrakhan was throwing them out there like that. We would go to Savior's Day, and Minister Farrakhan would have what they call believers meetings, and tell everybody in there, all y'all Muhammad now. And for me, that was just, crazy. And as a result of that, I said, I'm going to go back to my ex, because my ministry, I was known as Minister Keith Muhammad.
Right.
But also, I recognize that the deviation of Minister Farrakhan, I don't want no name from him. You understand? I don't want no name that can be associated and tied to him. So I went back to my ex, which was given to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and in the Savior's letter, which I heard being discussed, he says, "I desire a name from thee." So like I said, I'm in protest of such, and I went on back to Keith X when I stood back up in my ministry. But my father before me was a Muslim. Brother Robert 4X, and he raised us in Islam. He raised all of his kids in Islam. But myself and my brother Robert were the only ones who remained steadfast where the messenger's teachings was concerned, and ultimately came back up to help Minister Farrakhan for a while when he was on base. And then I had to, when I realized how he had deviated from the teachings, I really had to, I let go of the ministry. I quit the ministry completely. I was the minister of the mosque in Plainfield, number 80. Yes, and I shut the mosque down.
Okay, so now as we go into this, it's very telling to pay attention to what you're looking at. Now, when I say pay attention, what I mean is to invite your mind into what you're seeing and what you're hearing. Many of us approach these things that are happening on the internet, throughout cyberspace, and in real world we approach it with a superficial mindset. And we don't pay attention to what we're looking at in light of Scripture. In the mindset of Satan and the mindset of God. Remember, Allah is the best of planners. But even though Allah is the best of planners, the devil is a planner too. And so we have to understand Satan's plans in light of the God's plans in order for us to understand who is who and what is what. Now, here is a situation where you have an ex-minister of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Keith, who rejected his name Muhammad and re-identified with the name X, or title X, an unknown quality, which is very, very telling. That you reject Muhammad, one worthy of praise and war ready, to take the X, which denotes an unknown variable. So this denotes that you're in a position or a state of confusion or doubt. Very important. Now, in sitting in a seat, explaining to Lance Shabazz his reason and justification for giving up the Muhammad, you heard what he said. Now that shows that he was dealing from his own perspective or his own orientation point, his own vantage point. And based upon how he saw the teachings, not no real violation, nothing that the minister did against the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but based on his own understanding and his own perspective, his own vantage point, his own orientation, he began to look sideways at the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the minister giving his students and his followers, those who supported him, during a very tumultuous time in the nation, a very trying time of the nation. The minister bestowed upon those who were with him the name Muhammad. And he takes issue with that. But not only does he take issue with that, emerging from this issue, he decides to protest the actions of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And his foundational premise is that the minister gave names to those who were out there in the name of Muhammad committing crimes and getting caught up with the enemy. Now, there's a whole lot of people with X's and Muhammad's. The zebra killing. There was time when Master Farad Muhammad himself was amongst us, and there was murderings and there was killings and there was crimes committed by the so-called Muslims. Under the name of X or any other holy name that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave or Master Farad Muhammad gave, yet that is not the justification for rejecting the name Muhammad or any holy attribute. But you use John Muhammad, the DC sniper, as a justification to get rid of your name. As if we are to believe that's the real issue. That's not the real issue, but that's the issue that you give, and it's so ridiculously asinine, foolish, that is almost doing this series a disservice for even addressing it. But in the process of revealing your foolish mind, we are given or presented the opportunity to go into another principle that I feel that we should elucidate or point our minds to. So pay attention to everything we presented to you thus far. And in addition to that, pay attention to what the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan says in study guide number 17, Hypocrisy and Conspiracy. And I'm going to share it with you. And I'm not going to rely upon my memory. I'm actually going to read it to you so that you can understand what we're in the middle of and how Allah blessed us through the minister to prepare us for this very day that the study guides in the Supreme Wisdom becomes most relevant. So please pay attention. And as we get out of this, we'll go into part number 5. But pay attention. When one feels that one has the exclusive right to something, because that exclusivity feeds the ego and gives that person a sense of being more important than others, then that person will oppose anyone who may cause him or her to lose that position of exclusivity. So how did Brother Keith get his name Muhammad? When did he get it? How did he get it? What was the circumstances of him getting it? Did Minister Keith feel special because he was a minister? Did Minister Keith feel special and exclusive because he was a Muhammad? The length to which one will go to protect a position of exclusivity depends upon the degree to which the ego is dependent upon that position. The length can extend to murder. This is self-explanatory. The Jews during the time of Jesus felt that spirit of exclusivity as the chosen of God. Jesus represented the ultimate threat to their exclusivity, both in his condemnation of them by identifying them as the children of Satan and his declaration that God was his father. Now this is very, very important. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in 2010 explained to us that we, the Lost Foundation of Islam in the West, otherwise known as the Tribe of Shabazz, otherwise known as the American so-called Negro, were in fact the true children of Israel, the true Jews. Now that becomes problematic for those who are the individuals who are thieving or stealing our identity and our position as a chosen people of God. Now, when the minister says that we are the Jews, that automatically expands and gives us another way of looking into the scriptures. For if we are the Jews, then of course we have to have a Jesus that confronts the Jews and the Jewish understanding of the Masonic principle or law. And this particular Jesus brings into focus the law of Moses, and he begins to fulfill the laws of Moses, which then initiates the process of the Pharisees, which is a segment of the so-called Jews, the religious class, the law class, the individuals who think they are exclusive in their understanding of the Mosaic or the laws of Moses, the Messianic principles, that they then now, because they feel like they know the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, or they may have came up in the first resurrection, or may have worked with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, or claim themselves to be pure students of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, these individuals develop an exclusive mindset because they believe that they are the first to be begotten of the begotten, and that these individuals now have an exclusive right to claim the Honorable Elijah Muhammad because of the honorable role that they played in the first resurrection. Now, many of these individuals, because they heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan live, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad live, because they were in the nation prior to the fall of the nation, they have developed an exclusive mentality. And because they have developed an exclusive mentality, and because they think that they've studied the pure teachings, pure in quotations, of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they feel they are in the position to judge and criticize the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So who is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to give names to all these Muslims, all these brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam? So jealousy and envy and resentment becomes a prevailing circumstance or situation from which and through which these so-called students of the messenger begin to judge the minister and also judge those who are with the minister. Because in their mind, they put down a more valuable and necessary demonstration than those who are with the minister right now. So now there's a comparison going on. There's a contrast going on. There's the distinction through highlighting differences. And then there's a value assessment being taken place. So it says, I am first, I am better. You are second, you are not better. And so now there becomes resentment amongst the two, the first resurrection and the second resurrection. And he that is given credibility and validity to the second then gets castigated and subjugated to criticism and ridicule. Because you break up a cycle of exclusivity and you open up the teachings to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to other individuals. So the minister tells us that the Jews during the time of Jesus felt the spirit of exclusivity as the chosen of God. Jesus represented the ultimate threat to their exclusivity, both in his condemnation of them by identifying them as the children of Satan, and his declaration that God was his father. Now understand, when the nation fell, those individuals who were with Wallace, the son of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, sided with Wallace for many reasons, but one of the prevailing reasons was that he was the physical blood son of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And even though there was clear indications throughout the teachings and the workings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that Minister Louis Farrakhan was to be the extension, and he was to sit in the seat in the messenger's absence, those individuals who rejected the minister, their primary objective was rooted on the fact that the minister was not the physical blood son of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So now a question arises. Who is the real son of the honorable Elijah Muhammad? The question arises, who is the real sons, or who are the real children of Israel? Very, very important and significantly important. Now, these so-called Jews, the Pharisaic group, they claim to be the authentic children of the messenger. Yet they attack the spiritual son and the extension of the minister under the auspices of the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So to this particular class, the Jesus then speaks to them. Now I want you to put in your mind that yes, the Jesus speaks to the Ashkenazi so-called white Jew. But more specifically, there's an element that is emerging and revealing them their ugly faces within the nation of Islam underneath the guise and auspices of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who are trying to make a distinction between the followers and the students of the honorable Elijah Muhammad. And the point of contention is the identity of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and what he means to you and I within the nation of Islam and the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So that Jesus addresses these so-called students of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in this way. You are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks of his own, for he is the liar and the father of it. Now that's from John 8, verse 44. So these so-called followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad are in lockstep and attached at the hip with the same Satan or devil who desires to kill the nation of Islam and the work of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Understand something. The devils, Satan, desired to destroy the nation in 1975. There was hypocrites, there was agents. There were believers who did not study. There was weak believers, there were strong believers. There were secret councils that existed within the ranks in the nation of Islam. And the thoughts, the behaviors, and the actions of those who were in the nation of Islam allowed the nation to fall. Now, those brothers and sisters who have not come up out of that and gained an additional understanding and operational awareness of what took place during that time are still stuck on a time track, or they exist in that moment and they desire to do a body double, or they desire to make the nation of Islam to emerge as it once was. They want it to be now. But that what the nation was back then was not what Allah desires for it to be. But they want to bring the nation back to that, which then allows the enemy of our enemy, or it allows our open enemy to then, I didn't mean to say allows the enemy of our open enemy. What I'm saying is that it allows the enemy and his devils and his minions to keep the nation of Islam fragmented or controlled, under control, trapped within the same spirit and way of thinking and ways of doing things that allowed it to fall in the first place. So these particular brothers and sisters who attack the minister, they're stuck on a time trap, on a time track, which actually traps their understanding, which causes them then to do what? To ridicule, malign, and attempt to discredit the minister. But in doing so, they are joined at the hip of our open enemies that desires to keep the nation of Islam on a low level and within the sphere of their control. So we don't adjust to their adjustments. And so they're not doing the work of the messenger. They're doing the work of the enemy of the messenger that sought to destroy the nation of Islam. There was an environment, there was a way of doing things, there was a way of thinking, there was a spiritual and intellectual and emotional reality that allowed the devil to come in and help to destroy the nation and to make it fall. And those individuals who have not understood this desire for us to take on the same posture in 1975. They want us to take on the same posture in 2015 that we took on in 1975, thereby allowing ourselves to be sitting prey to the Satan who is prepared for that particular reality. Now, but Jesus answered them, my Father works here, there too, and I work. Therefore, the Jews sought the more to kill him, because he not only had broken the Sabbath, but said also that God was his Father, making himself equal with God. John 5, verse 17 and 18. Who are you, Minister Farrakhan? You are just a minister. You ain't the son of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. You ain't Supreme Minister John Muhammad. You are not within the bloodline or legacy of the honorable Elijah Muhammad. So who says you are the one to interpret and bring the nation back and to advance it into a new growth or new development? Now, at the root of the lies and murder plots against Jesus, Paul, Peter, and Muhammad was envy. You understand? Now, envy arose in the hearts of the political and spiritual leadership because one was coming to replace their rule, threatening their exclusivity. One more favored in the sight of Allah God, one more pleasing and acceptable in the public eye. When one is an envier, he or she always sees oneself as more worthy of the benefit or favor than the person or persons to whom the benefit or favor has been given. Remember, this is a study guide number 17, Hypocrisy and Conspiracy. The hatred that the envier feels knowingly or unknowingly extends to the giver of gifts, the grantor of benefits, the bestower of favor, which is Allah God. Since the envier cannot climb up to heaven to the grantor of gifts and benefits, his or her anger is focused on the recipient of the divine favor. Though their efforts, lies, and murders are directed at the recipient, their actions are in fact a challenge against Allah God himself to warfare. And that's what qualifies these hypocrites and critics as hypocrites. And whether they know it or not, they are agents of Satan. And so Genesis chapter 4, verse 4 through 8 says, And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offspring, but unto Cain and to his offspring he had no respect. And Cain was angry, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why are you angry? And why is your countenance fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lies at the door, and unto you shall be his desire, and you shall rule over him. And Cain talked with Abel, his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and killed him. Now the root of Cain going to war against Abel was in how the Lord viewed favorably the work and production of Abel in contrast to how he viewed the work of Cain. So since Cain was rejected in his mind, he then sought out to kill or hurt his brother Cain because he could not reach up to God and hurt God. So he decided to hurt his brother. Now, the fact that he desired to hurt his brother justifies why Cain was rejected and Abel was accepted. So in the process of you attacking the minister and seeking to kill him and to devalue him, is showing why your works are not being blessed and your answer to your prayers are not being granted and your success is not being fulfilled and your desires are not being fulfilled because you seek to fight the one who receives the blessings of Allah, and you think you're really fighting against the one who Allah has given his blessings, when in fact you are fighting Allah himself. So these things have to take place in order for you to be revealed to yourself and those who are watching. Again, in Genesis 27, in the story of Isaac, who desired to give his blessings to his eldest son, Esau, but was discovered by another son, Jacob, and gave Jacob what was intended for Esau. Later, Jacob had 12 sons, one of whom was named Joseph. Now, Israel, which was Jacob, loved Joseph more than all of his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors, in whom his brothers saw that their father loved him more, and when his brothers saw that his father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated and could not speak peacefully unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him yet the more. And his brothers envied him. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to kill him. And they said one to another, Behold, this dreamer cometh. Now that's Genesis 37, 3 through 5, 11, 18, and 19. And this is in the Hypocrisy and Conspiracy Study Guide, known as 17. Now, the coat of many colors that Joseph wore is the ability to speak to different schools of thought, simultaneously representing the teachings of his father. Now, they felt upset and envious because of the ministers or the Joseph's ability to speak to various schools of thought, and he was ridiculed and maligned and scorned as being a dreamer. It's very important. Joseph dreamed a dream and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him yet the more. But Jacob had a son in his old age. And this gets into the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. After the government of the United States planned, and the nation was honeycombed with hypocrites, and they intended to turn Malcolm X against the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and they intended to destroy the nation of Islam through their agents and its hypocrites. They had a plan in full motion that was dedicated or determined to destroy the nation of Islam, leading up to 1964 and 1965. One of the agents of this particular destruction or plan of destruction was Wallace Muhammad, the physical son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who absolutely desired to destroy the work of his father. In destroying the work of his father, Wallace sought out to find a firm resting place for his poison that he desired to spew against his father to subsequently destroy the nation of Islam. Very important. Wallace reached out to Malcolm X. Wallace then began to plant seeds into the mind of Malcolm X, because while Malcolm was receiving seeds of destruction from Wallace, Malcolm was also the very real victim of jealousy and envy and other wicked machinations through hypocrites, through agents, and literally the FBI government, the government of the United States. So, and he was also having domestic issues or marital issues with his wife. So at a time of weakness, at a particular moment in the history, the chief defender of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was approached by the physical son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And at that moment, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's son, Wallace, dropped seeds into the mind of Malcolm that found a firm resting place, not because Malcolm himself was wicked or he had evil intentions towards his father, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but because the hypocrites and the agents and the weak believers and the politics, the government, was beating on Malcolm. And at a time of weakness, that's when the agent, that's when the hypocrite came in and dropped seeds of discourse or dissension in the mind of Malcolm X. Think about it. At a time of dissatisfaction, frustration, anxiety, doubt, and fear, the hypocrite found an opportune time to plant a seed in the mind of the chief defender of the minister in order to switch him into being a chief opponent or adversary of the messenger. He sought to put a seed in the mind of the chief defender of the messenger to switch him and turn him into a chief opponent or adversary of the messenger. You have to find a particular time, an opportune time, to drop a seed against a man that you know instinctively and genetically, intellectually and emotionally, spiritually is good for your people. But during a time of weakness, the hypocrite comes and drops a seed. And at that moment, the husbandman who is on the lookout for such sowing of seeds should get to that particular seed of dissension and pull it up and get it out of a fertile ground. So at a certain point, those who pay attention must be on the lookout for those who are desirous to run around sowing seeds of dissension and confusion. And as the seeds are being dropped, someone has to go in and say, let's get this seed up out of here. Let's get this seed up out of here. Let's get this seed out of here, because dissatisfaction, frustration, anxiety, disappointment, doubt, and fear is an excellent environment. It's a prime environment in order for dissension, dissatisfaction, treason, and betrayal, those seeds to be planted. So we have to be on the lookout for those who are planting seeds. Very important. But the messenger knew all of this was going to take place and watched as his physical son sowed dissension amongst the ranks. And Malcolm became a victim of such. Now, the government had its play. The minister then was charged with the responsibility to go clean up or go deal with the environment that was left over when Malcolm X was killed and Temple number 7 was open and vacant. The messenger sent his number one minister in there to deal with that situation, and that was not a lightweight thing. And this same person who sowed dissension in the ranks in 1964 is the same person in 1975 that took over the Nation of Islam. And just as the result of the dissension was the murder of Malcolm, and a very trying time for our nation, this same Wallace created an environment that the ministers still once again had to go in, clean up, and reconcile. Now, Jacob had a son in his old age, because from 1974 to 1975, or 1964, 1965 to 1974, 1975 was 10 years. And after Malcolm had failed his test, the destruction of America and the black man was imminent. And you have to study the history of 1964, of 1965, to understand exactly what I mean by this. This is also a history that shows us what? The JFK was murdered. It's also a time that shows Bobby Kennedy being murdered. The Bay of Pigs, there was Russian influence, right? The Cold War. The so-called landing on the moon. The mafia, there was political and social aspects to this thing that we may have not been privy to, but are definitely prevailing circumstances that Allah in the person of Master Farad Muhammad had to deal with. Did we fully understand or comprehend the seriousness of the time in which we now live, or what we lived in during that time? I want you to understand this. I really want you to understand this. What was it about Malcolm X saying the chickens had come home to roost in relation to J.F. Kennedy and him being assassinated? Why did the messenger tell his ministers to stand down and don't mention that and don't speak on that? Was it because he was in the bed with the American government? Because he had an affinity for JFK? Or was it because the mentality and the emotions of the people who the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came to save was wrapped up in JFK? And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was blessed to understand a higher wisdom as it relates to JFK in the prevailing circumstances that some of us was too goddamn stupid to understand and recognize. So why did the minister or the messenger tell the Honorable Malcolm X to stand down and don't mention that? And what was it in his mind that caused him to mention it? What pressure was being put on Malcolm X in Harlem, New York, in the so-called conscious community of that time? What was the so-called Black Panthers, or those individuals who wanted to be militant? Not necessarily the Black Panthers, but those who wanted to be militant. When Malcolm X was being clowned, when Malcolm X was going around talking that revolutionary talk. But everybody around was talking about all the FOI, the MGT, the Nation of Islam. They only care about Muslims. If they don't care about, if you ain't no Muslim, they ain't gonna fight and kill for you. So meanwhile, water hoses were being put on our children and on our women. The civil rights movement was reaching a boiling point. In 1964, Martin Luther King had yet to be killed. In fact, there was 4 more years to pass from 1964 to 1968 that allowed the so-called civil rights movement to become more and more relevant in the minds of social, political, economic America. Malcolm was receiving pressure because he was talking a good game, but he couldn't deal with the criticisms of those who were so-called militants. So as he was teaching on the reality of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he was receiving letters, he was receiving telephone calls, and he was wrapped up in meetings from those individuals who called themselves militant and said, yeah, you talking a lot of good stuff, but I don't see you fighting on the front line. You Muslims is all talk. Unless you a Muslim, you ain't gonna fight for black people. So Malcolm, in addition to all the pressures that he was experiencing within the nation and the FBI and the CIA, Malcolm was also a victim of the pressure of the so-called conscious community who he was trying to please in a certain way. And this so-called conscious community was questioning Malcolm X and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's loyalty and love for black people. So when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told Malcolm X to stand down and don't mention and don't speak on the death of JFK, Malcolm X couldn't help himself but to speak on it. This is very, relevant and important because you fell victim, Malcolm, despite how much you know and how much love you have for the messenger. And you are our brother. And we understand the situation that you're going through or you went through. And we understand that the situation that you have went through and the situation you had went through, had to fall victim to was given to us so that we can study, so that when history repeats itself, we don't fall victim to the same study. So the same circumstance that Malcolm found himself fighting in 1964, the Nation of Islam and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan finds ourselves fighting in 2014 and 2015 with the advent of Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, and others. The nation talks a good game. They have a military, the FOI, but why ain't they out here in the streets with us fighting white folk? As if those who are criticizing the nation are out there in the streets fighting white folk. That's something they're not doing. So the history repeats itself, which is very important. So now we have to understand that during this time of trial, and we have enemies within our ranks, and we have enemies outside of our ranks, and we have mixed feelings and controversy, and we have all of these social issues, all these political issues, and Barack Obama represents the 2014-2015 version of the 1964-1965 version of JFK. And it is causing a cloud of speculation and doubt as it relates to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So the so-called conscious community and those who think they're ready for war, who are not really ready for war, they all talking, sits in ridicule and judgment of the Nation of Islam because they feel that we are not doing what we should be doing in terms of black people. And they desire not to turn Malcolm, because Malcolm is no longer here. They desire to turn the students of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan against the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. That is something we cannot allow ourselves to do. But instead of coming out and saying what's really on their mind, what they attempt to do, the hypocrites and the critics, is they try to prop up these arguments that are frail and fragile in reality, that can be easily overcome if we pay attention. And that is our job today, to show and prove the history in present day, to learn the lessons of history, to apply the solutions in present day. So I ask the brothers and sisters, as we continue with this video, as we continue to look into the hypocrites' attack against the minister and the nation, I ask ourselves to open up our minds and ask ourselves, what was it about the minister or the messenger's instruction to his ministers to leave JFK alone? What did that have to do with today's advent or reality of Barack Obama? I ask you, this brother or this son, Joseph, who was born in Jacob's old age, because at a time when the nation was about to fall, the messenger said that within 6 months the nation was to be destroyed, that the Master Farad Muhammad had enough and he was going to make his move. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad prayed a sincere prayer that he be granted an extension of time. And through this extension time, or an answer to this prayer, was an extension of mercy given to us in the person of the most honorable, or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the extension. So the minister is the answer to a prayer of an extension of time. So from 1964, 1965 to 1974, 1975, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan had been prepared and was going under preparation and qualification to get him to be able to deal with the situation that we're living in today. If the devils were allowed to destroy the nation at that time, then the devils One, because their desire was to destroy the nation. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad turned to his Lord and prayed. And the answer to that prayer, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan emerged. And he was tried from 1964, 1965 to 1974 to 1975 for what he's doing today, to meet the adjustments in the recalculations of the open enemy. So if you want to discover or you want to uncover the reality of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, then you have to read, I don't know where my book is, The Closing the Gap, and really study the time period between 64 and 65, 74 and 75, and you'll begin to peep into the mind of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because it was during that period that, number one, despite what you've heard from other sources, the greatest growth and relevance and power of the Nation of Islam existed between 1964-65 to 1974-1975, when the minister was the national spokesman of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The minister and the nation produced more results in that 10-year period than all of the Nation of Islam. Period. This is an actual fact. Yet, the nation was honeycombed with hypocrites. The devils had planned, the CIA had planned, the FBI had planned, the agents, the hypocrites, the so-called conscious community. From now, at this point, you have the emergence of these different organizations, including the Black Panthers. Yet, from 1964 to 65, 1974 to 1975, that 10-year period, you had the greatest growth spurt of the Nation of Islam when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was sent into New York and he became the national spokesman of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This was in preparation and in qualification for the minister to do what he was born to do after the Honorable Minister Louis, or the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was no longer physically among us. Then this is the truth. So, at a time when the minister or the messenger prayed, and he was given 30 years, from 1934, 35 to 1964, 65 was 30 years. But he was blessed with an additional 10-year period from 1964, 65 to 1974, 75, a 10-year period through which and of which, during which, Minister Louis Farrakhan was qualified or being made ready for the mission that existed after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was to no longer be physically among us. So you have this Minister Keith, who produced a spawn named Eric. But neither Keith or Eric, it's not about Keith or Eric, it's about a mindset that has to be exposed. And the purpose of this particular series is to expose a mindset of those individuals who read but do not understand. Those who follow or quote the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teachings but does not dig deeper into the hidden wisdom, the relevant truths and understandings of said teachings, in order to find a way to navigate themselves through this trying time that we exist. So instead of following the minister, they seek to attack the minister and those who are with him, seeking to devour them. But as Jacob produced a son named Joseph in his old age, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad produced a son by the name of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in his old age. During the last part of his mission among us emerges the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He is Allah's answer to a prayer that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad submitted to Allah at a time where Master Farad Muhammad was determined to destroy us all. What does that mean? That if it was not for the prayer of the messenger and Master Farad Muhammad answering the prayer in the person of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that then none of us would be here. Minister Louis Farrakhan represents Allah's mercy in our midst. And when you attack the minister, you are attacking Allah. And when you attack Allah's mercy, you are showing ingratitude. You're not grateful. And we know that Allah hates ingratitude. But you think that I'm just talking. You think that this is just Brother Philip trying to make a reputation of himself because of whatever you think you want to think. And by all means, feel free to think whatever the hell it is you want to think. But those of us who are students will think about this and begin to contemplate the reality of our position and reassess our condition as it relates to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Exalted Christ, and Master Farad Muhammad. Woe to the slanderers and the slinking devils who formulate weak and pathetic arguments to take the brothers and sisters off of the path of Allah under the auspices of the messenger's name. You want to bury Jerusalem. You want to bury Jesus in Jerusalem, but it's not going to happen. All right. So may Allah continue to bless you. This is just part 4. We're going to get into part 5 in the very near future. But before I leave, I want y'all to understand. I want y'all to pay attention to this as we get up out of here. And inshallah, we'll come back in the very near future with part 5. May Allah continue to bless you. And I hope that you understand not only what I'm saying, but the spirit in which I'm saying it. Because in reality, we are just now getting started. Peace.
Divide you from your brother. You let some artificial boundary on the African continent made by boundaries made by your enemy divide you from one another. Who really wanna ride or die for spill blood by any means necessary? It's time for us to formate and formulate the plan. Ain't no need to hesitate, make them dealt the hand. And united we stand, divided we crumble. Ain't no room for anti-mamas, Toms or uncles. Now, give me 5 on the black hand side. The revolution won't be televised. All this trickery got my people blind. I wish that I could change the world with my rhymes. If it was up to me, we'd all live in harmony. One big family, everybody happy. Back to reality and all the politics. Uncle Scam and his bag of tricks is a twist just to hold us back. They want to keep us divided. Just imagine what it's like if we all united. Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. Get it together, y'all. Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. Get it together, y'all. One day, come on, we can make this world into a better place. One day, come on, we can make this world into a better place. We chase us and cause ruckus that'll make you stare. About 100 men marching cause the whole hood there. Flamed up like torches in demand of respect. Red rags in our pockets and around our neck. Peace treaty east to west to keep it all calm. Homies reppin' everything, blood grip to Islam. Mac 10 YG, the neighborhood star. Stay West Coast banging out the Inglewood car.
In the Bronx, you'll be there too. I'm only trying to prepare you. This government's relies to scare you. How dare you miss the calling pal? Think just because you're black you get my voting pal? Oh no, I wanna listen to a man that's right for me. When it's hit the fan, it's gon' fight for me. When it's all said and done, give his life for me. Give him one day, any race, color, or creed. Yes, yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. Get it together, y'all. Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. Get it together, y'all. One day, come on, we can make this world into a better place. One day, come on, we can make this world into a better place.
Hey yo, drag is the reason why they blame gangbang on rap. Put droughts on blocks, made them go from cane to crack. Don't blame me, that concrete is where that stain at. Get them up and hop it up, we make the cops pop at us. So many bodies pop it up, who responsible for that? And every crack that killed every mother where every hood at. Cause that's where I stood at. So I'm double R's black hood rat. And I'm always somewhere I shouldn't be at.
Untouchable, just slugs may be bustable. In the hospital, I'm laying there critical. Could've be them cops don't like me. See a million black men and we ain't shiesty. Got degrees in tax ID. See my skin tone, barbershop, black home. Gotta be a dealer, the cop from Pablo. Probably pops in like they did Diablo. Yes, yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. Get it together, y'all. Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. Get it together, come on. One day, come on, we can make the world into a better place. One day, come on, we can make the world into a better place.
Mother Mary had a little lamb whose heart was pure as snow. So now everywhere that this
slam walk, brother Cam gon' damn show go. So yo, get with the program, let's roll, man. That old jam was just for the black man, but now we back with the whole fam, keeping naysayers at bay. And one day we can make the world better, and today is that day.
Eastside LVDP, you feel me? Eagle double G banging unity in the community. It's about time for us all to mash for each other and stop trying to blast. You ain't tough cause you bust on a fool at a club. You the real fool cause this fool was your blood. It was all about Crip and it was all about cuz. Wake up, young thug, one day.
Yes, sure. Yes, sure.